For a New American Century, put together a document in the year 2000 called Strategic Forces and Resources for a New Century. It is fundamentally the blueprint for everything that is occurring right now. It shouldn't be any surprise to us. Here it is in black and white. There are some incredible, incredible quotes that come out of this document. It is freely available. You do have to look, but it is available. Part of this document, recognizing that America really has to take this opportunity to dominate the globe, in particular because of its requirement for natural resources. And it says further, the process of transformation, meaning America taking global leadership, even if it brings revolutionary change, is likely to be a long one, absent some catastrophic event like a new Pearl Harbor. 10 of the 27 participants of the Project for a New American Century who produced this document are members of the George Bush government today. And one of the key players, a guy called Dov Zakheim, for anybody interested, is a very nasty piece of work. Google his name sometime, Dov Zakheim. See what you find. In this document, which was in a second document that was produced in the first 6 months of the Bush administration. This is the 6 months that he was out playing golf. There was a group pulled together under Dick Cheney, and they produced a report called the Strategic Energy Policy Challenges for the 21st Century. Dick Cheney, to this day, refuses to release any of the minutes of those discussions, and he refuses to identify any of the players that participated in this, the discussions that eventually produced this material. But fundamentally, it was recognizing that the US, which consumes 20 million barrels of oil every day, the global consumption is currently around about 88 million barrels a day. So the US, with, 4 or 5% of the population, is consuming 25% of the global oil production. And most of that, obviously, is imported. In fact, almost all of it is imported because the US is adopting a policy of keeping its own oil reserves purely for strategic reasons. But out of that report came the observation that the American people need to know about this situation, the potential need to dominate the global resources, and be told as well that there are no easy or quick solutions to today's energy problems. The president has to begin educating the public about this reality and start building a broad base of popular support for the hard policy choices ahead. Well, Cheney decided, obviously, to accelerate that. And on 9/11, the US survey got its new Pearl Harbor. The greatest piece of psychological warfare since the Greeks left a wooden horse outside the gates of Troy. It was brilliant. It is a fantastic construct. It is pure Hollywood. The tragedy, of course, is that so many people had to die. The pièce de résistance of this was dropping the towers in a controlled demolition on top of 357 New York firemen. Hitler said in Mein Kampf, the greater the crime perpetrated by the leadership, the less the likelihood that the people would believe that the leadership are capable of such a crime. There were 5 war games going on 9/11 that day. The first 4 ensured that all of the fighter command for the Eastern Seaboard were elsewhere. We have transcripts between the air traffic controllers and the Federal Aviation Authority, which is the first port of call for the controllers when they suspect a hijack. And we have conversations that go something along the lines of, we have a problem, we have a potential hijack. Is this part of the exercise? I don't know. Well, it's probably part of the exercise, so just monitor. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, arrived in New York to participate, supposedly, in a biowarfare exercise called Tripod 2, the day before 9/11. For this photograph, which many, many people will have seen the moment that George Bush was supposedly told that America was under attack. For many, many months, my perception was that his lack of reaction presumed prior knowledge. Today, I'm absolutely convinced, having researched this subject now for 3.5 years, I'm absolutely convinced he was under the impression at this moment that he was being told something as part of the game. It wasn't until he was removed from the classroom that he was brought up to speed that this was a real-life situation. Shaney was controlling the shots at this juncture. Part of the reason that this guy was out in the boonies in Florida. Now, many, many Americans are starting to realize and ask questions. Right now, with the problems that are going on with Karl Rove, etc., people are starting to realize that they've had the wool pulled over their eyes. And it is a gradual process. It is very, very important, actually, that people don't realize as a mass too quickly, because people have to absorb this and understand the implications of what's occurred here for themselves, for their nation, and for the world. But this particular individual, Jimmy Walter, has spent